So this is our good friend, Janae. Janae's amazing, and we want to just thanks for taking the time to be here with us.
Yeah,
we
it's
really
my pleasure.
appreciate it.
Janae's got the King of Random channel. How many followers do you guys have?
12 million followers, subs.
12 million.
That's a lot. So how do you do this? I mean, what do you do to stay engaged with all of those people? And what was the start and the inspiration and your journey along the way?
Yeah, so the start of the inspiration was curiosity. So my husband and I started it together. We were co-founders of that channel. And it was one of those things where he just, and both of us really in different ways have this insatiable desire to continually ask questions.
Are your boys like that too?
Yes.
Right?
And
Yeah.
I love questions. I love answering them. I love the question means that their brains are working, right? If a kid's not asking questions, I wonder why not. Like, and as a kid, I actually was really shy. And so I didn't ask the questions. I had them in my head, but I didn't dare to ask. And so that's been a journey for me to figure out how do I express myself in a way where I have the confidence to ask. And so doing the channel was for sure a journey of that. And same thing for my husband. He was really bullied a lot in school. And so I think he was afraid to ask those questions. Even though our natural propensity was to be that kid, we both kind of stifled it. And then as we grew and learned and gained confidence, we started really exploring the questions that we had and getting the answers and realized how fun and amazing it is when you have the confidence to ask the questions in life and really believe that you're going to get an answer.
How long ago was this? Like, how long ago was the channel started?
So we officially incorporated on YouTube the channel and the channel name in 2011. The channel actually started long before that, but we were laying the groundwork and the prep for what the content would be unknowingly. But I would say it started when we got married in 2007. That's when our journey started together. And so that's kind of when we started.
You had old school camera equipment.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is pre kind of big YouTube.
Yeah, we had
And
flip
what made
phones
you
at the time,
feel like
so-
what made you feel like you need to record it?
Grant had this propensity to think if it's not on camera, like if it's not documented, it didn't happen. And so that was at this kind of perfect crossroads timing of, before that he was using a handy cam with the little cassette tape you'd put inside.
Right.
And he was enamored with that. I got my first flip phone at the time and it had a camera on it. I just remember like all of a sudden I had a camera in my pocket and I was like, oh, I can start taking pictures of everything. And so it was a combination of like his background with the handy cam and my propensity to just want to take pictures. And so then we started recording the things we were doing and it just turned into a lifestyle.
We're going to document all these experiments, our curiosity. We're going to document.
Yeah. And it wasn't even for the intention of putting them on YouTube at the time. But then once we bought our studio home where we built the King of Random, it became the objective, but not before all that prep work had been done where we were like, yeah, let's record all this. And it's that idea of you can do things and you can have the existence of all these experiences. But as a person on a journey creating yourself, if you don't write it down or keep a journal or record things, we have a tendency to forget a lot of the things that we do. So a light pencil is far more valuable than the best memory.
So
That's
you
what they say,
guys
right?
started this dream and this vision together, which is so beautiful. So then tell us about your journey then. I mean, how did you handle that when you lost him?
Yeah, he died in 2019.
And then you had this channel that you had built together. You have this family that you're raising together. And how did you decide what to do with all of that? What was your transition like into being a single mom and how to manage that channel on your own?
The short answer to that is I was really angry because I had kind of built my life on this promise that we'd made to each other when we got married. We're going to have a family together. We're going to do life together. We're going to build a business together. And then he just like took off. And, of course he died. So it wasn't intentional. It wasn't accident. But, he was also doing high risk sporting activity. It was paragliding that was the accident that took him. And I just went through a phase for a few years really where I just felt really angry. And that anger, I think also really fueled my ability to be productive.
Really?
So
you were able to
it.
channel it into productivity rather than let it stifle.
Yeah. And I don't think that that's necessarily a healthy way of doing things, but that was the coping mechanism I chose at the time. And it did serve me really well. And I feel like now I've been able to let go of a lot of that. And I feel so much better and so much more free as a human being. Also being human, you operate from where you're at.
You did the best you could with what you were given.
And Grant was really the visionary behind the channel, right? It was like his vision. You mentioned he had certain rules that he wanted to stay within.
Yeah.
And then it was so abrupt. How did you go and say, hey, I've just got to pick this thing messing up?
That has been a journey, and a journey I'm still on. I think that, there's this desire to be true to what we came from and the legacy of what I feel like it should be. And then there's also this conflict of how do we stay relevant? Like, how do we keep the channel moving and growing? And as the audience is changing, staying with the audience. And it's a combination of all those questions. And we're still in the middle of it and still trying to figure it out. When YouTube started, that's when we started. And YouTube is completely different now from what it was 13, 14 years since we started. And so staying relevant, but staying true to what our message is, that's a question we're continually asking ourselves. And all creators really need to be really focused on that, because you don't want to just chase the algorithm, and you don't want to not be aware of it either.
Yeah, and you don't want to lose yourself just chasing the algorithm.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people have the propensity to do that once you get a taste of what kind of views you can get, what kind of AdSense you can get, what kind of sponsorships you can get if you're making the numbers. But then you just have to be really careful about not losing yourself in chasing a number.
What were some tools you use to kind of pull yourself? You talked about the anger. You have 4 boys. You have these 4 boys. What really kind of pulled you out of that?
Yeah. So in that moment, when it all kind of like came into my awareness, it was 3 a.m. A police officer came, knocked on my door, said, "We found your husband." And I said, "Oh, good." And he's like, "It's not good. Can you sit down?" And I was like, "Oh no, I've seen the movies. When they ask the wife to sit down, I know what that means." And in my heart, I already knew something was really irreparably wrong, but I didn't want to admit that to myself. And so in that moment, when it's like, "We found your husband, he's been in an accident, he didn't survive," I just said, "Oh, I know." And I think the officer was kind of like, let me repeat that, because I don't think
like,
you...
Is she in denial?
Yeah, I don't
about
think you
this?
understood.
Yeah.
But it was like in my heart, I knew, like I could feel that his body and spirit and the relationship that we had was completely disconnected. I didn't know exactly what that meant, but when he said that, I was like, yep, that makes sense. And so in that moment, I just kind of went into shock, and I feel like I lived in that space for several months. After that 6-month mark where I was like, oh, this is reality. This isn't going to change. But when I started getting connected with reality again, that's when the anger set in. But then that's also when the anger fueled, like, I've got to get through this. How am I going to do that?
Because you still have 4 boys to raise.
And the boys were an anchor for me, because it's like, I can't just stay in bed all day. I got to get up. I got to take care of the boys. And that was an anchoring routine for me, that regardless of how I felt, I knew that I had to be there enough for them, at least to take care of their needs. I don't know that emotionally I was the most available mom, but they were fed. You spent time together. They were clothed and they got to bed and all of those things, So, right. And that was a really anchoring routine.
So you knew what to do for your boys, but how did you decide what to do with that channel that he had really built?
Luckily, the team was able to continue to run it, where at a time when I was just not able to engage. And that's kind of when the learning curve set in for me of like, what does this mean? And what were the roles that he was playing as the original face, as the original creator? And how can I interact with that in a way that helps the channel grow?
But stay authentic to who you are.
Right.
Apart from him.
Yeah, exactly. And also not interject who I am in a way that changes it, because that's not what I want for the channel either. And
because you want to honor his vision too, and what he created.
Exactly.
So it's been him still.
Exactly. And it's been a delicate balance to try and figure that out.
So you're also starting a new channel, right? Tell us about that.
I mean, in 4 years of being a single mom, I feel like there's so much that I've learned. This is kind of where that you want things to go back to the way they were. I just thought, oh, it's okay, I'll get remarried and I'll just replace that role in my life. Like, that hasn't happened. And it's kind of like, now I'm realizing that this is my life and I want to interact with it in a way that I'm really capable of being who I am, where I'm at, without feeling like that there's some solution out there that's going to solve this problem that I have. Because the reality is I don't have a problem in my life. The way it is the way it is, and that's how it's meant to be. And as a single mom, I've found that there's a few things that are key to success with yourself, taking care of yourself, being there for your kids, and really living a full life, even though there's not a dad in their life. My journey in that has been really hilarious and full of a lot of mistakes and fun things and awful things. And I just feel like I've never connected with single moms, because I've kind of been in a little bit of denial. Like, no, I'm not a single mom. I've been married. But at the same time, I am a single mom, and really embracing my life situation now. And so I feel like it's just something I can help help and connect other single moms who have felt like that before and also need resources to just feel seen and heard and maybe, you know, connect to. And also
you have to build a different tribe when you get
you
into
do.
that situation.
Yeah. And it's
your
such a
friend
different
circle
mindset.
changes, your resources change. It's a different life.
It is.
Wow.
Yeah, so this is, I just love how authentic and real of a person you are. You being willing to share some very hard and difficult and vulnerable things.
Thank you.
And I think that that's going to translate into this channel,
Yeah,
right?
it is.
Because you're going to get the behind the scenes raising 4 boys
As
and
a single mom.
single mom. And it's going to like all the madness that comes with that
Yeah.
is going to be so fascinating.
Yeah.
I love it. I'll watch it. I'm
Yeah,
a single mom of
thanks.
4 boys and 2 girls.
And 2 girls. So you got some girls.
But they'll love it. They'll love it. What do you have a name for this channel yet?
Is that mom? Kind of like
Is
a
that
question of you know, is that really my mom? Like, she's doing all these things. You know, how do we interact with our moms? And one of the things I've told my boys several times, you know, when I feel like we're just like kind of missing, I'm like, boys, I am a person too. Like, I have feelings.
Yes.
Like, I need things too, you know, and going through the process of teaching them, you know, I'm not just here to do all the things you need. I have feelings too. And I lost my husband. I know you lost your dad, but like, we're in this together and we have
Yes.
feelings around all of the
Humanizing
things.
mom.
Right.
Really?
Yeah.
So is the channel kind of going to be all access, kind of like everyday kind of stuff of what you experience?
I don't know yet exactly, but I also have this deeper intention of connecting. So it's going to be all these fun experiences and hard experiences and experiences in general. But what I really want to do is teach resiliency, because it's not about being a single mom. It's about how do we interact with the hard things in our life, because we all have challenges. We all have traumatic things that happen to us. Not everybody's going to lose their husband, but on a different level, we all experience loss. And as humans, we integrate that loss in very similar ways. And so how do you get past that to become resilient in your life and not let that loss or that trauma or the hard things in your life define you, but help you grow? And that's a hard thing to do, because it's so easy to be like, I just want to wallow in my pain. I want to operate from this anger. I don't want to change, because it's hard. That takes proactive work. And that's where I really want the support to be, especially for moms, especially for single moms, but really everybody, not just moms.
I love that message so much. I can't wait to share your channel with everybody.
Thank you.
Resilience, it's my favorite topic, because
Me
I
too.
love hearing that story of, it's all the people I've studied, every entrepreneur, everything. I've found a couple of things in common. One, they've been through some very hard things, failures, really difficult. And for some reason, going back to your experience, you were resilient. And you just, sometimes in the morning, you're just like, I don't want to face the day. And somehow you face the day. And
You chose to.
You keep powering through it. That's so inspiring for people.
Yeah.
And it is a choice, because sometimes people go through those traumatic experiences and they don't choose to be resilient. So I think a channel like this could really give people like that not just hope, but the inspiration and the tools.
Yeah.
They're seeing it in action, the applicable tools. How does she keep going after something like that?
Yeah. And one of the things I hear the most is, oh, I don't know how you do it. But the reality is I don't have a choice. And I definitely have those days where I don't want to be resilient. And that's also human nature, and it's totally okay. But it's more of that consistency of choosing to get through it over and over again, even after those moments where you're choosing not to get through it. I want to wallow. I want to be angry. I want to stay in bed, and honoring that, because it's not about moments. It's about an overall projection of how you're getting through it. It's not just like, I'm in a hard time and I can't get out of it. Yeah, we all feel that way sometimes. And it is okay.
To have self-compassion and take some moments to feel that loss and that experience. But
So in those moments, you tell yourself, it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
it's okay.
It's
It's
the
okay that I feel this
cumulative
way.
feel sad
effect
or,
of
or
choosing.
angry. It's okay to feel angry.
Yeah, yeah.
But then what are you going to do about
And that's
it?
not going to hold you back. It's not going to make it so you do just wallow in that and let the trauma define you. But it's a part of the human experience, and that is valid. And it's okay to feel like I'm not progressing. I'm not being productive. I suck as a mom. I don't want to get out of bed. I haven't put makeup on for 3 weeks. I don't want to get dressed. You know, I'm not saying I haven't had those moments, because I have, but I let myself go through it, and then I take the next step. And that's where I think a lot of people get stuck, is they get stuck in that moment of like, I just can't get it together.
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't have to get it together. Just take one more next step, and then you start accumulating those next steps, and then you get yourself out of it.
So you've now got your new YouTube channel coming out. What's the best way people can follow you and engage with you in your journey?
So my Instagram is a great place. That's where I kind of post like like the relevant,
Saw the stories
up-to-date
this week
things.
were so good.
Yes.
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 Right.
And that's where I do the funny things that make myself laugh in my own situation and share the rawness of each day. And it's not every day, and then I have a blog that I write. That's followtheenergyoftheday.com. And then my YouTube channel. So those are
Do
probably
we
the
have a
best.
timeline on when the YouTube channel's coming out?
Aaron's in charge
Yes.
of that.
To be determined.
I'm the king of random because you're going to keep that going.
Yes.
Give us the name again of the new YouTube channel.
Is that Mom?
Yeah.
Is that mom?
That's how you
I
say
love
it right there,
All
too.
right. Thank you, Janae.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much.
If any of you watching today have any doubts that your current CPA is not helping you take 100% advantage of the deductions you deserve and helping you stay compliant with the IRS, then don't hesitate to get involved with TaxHive today. You won't be disappointed.